Sonic Mania is responsible for the rebirth of classic Sonic. Thanks to Christian Whitehead and his team of famous fan game developers, Sega is back on the gaming market. But Mania wasn't Whitehead's first official Sega project. That credit goes to the 2011 reboot of Sonic CD, released on every console at the time and even mobile phones, except for the Wii for some reason. We will be checking out the Steam version, the only one I own. Sonic DVD originally started out as an odd port of Sonic 2 for the Sega CD, but after Sonic Team of Japan split from the American one, it became its own separate monster, with a funky soundtrack made in Japan and even its own cutscenes animated by Toei, and with a kick-ass opening theme, which was different in America, and also the entire soundtrack. Thankfully, the 2011 port allows you to pick your favorite soundtrack, the Japanese one. Plot-wise, Sonic Laserdisc is the most unique for its time. Eggman anchored an entire planet and it's turning it into a mechanized hellhole. It's Sonic's mission to destroy all the robot teleporters or collect all the time stones, of course, to create a good future, defeat fan-favorite Metal Sonic and fan-hated Amy. Oh, if only it was the other way around. Sonic Cassette has the good, basic, classic Sonic physics, making every level fun to explore and run through. In addition to that, it also has time travel. If Sonic passes through a past or future sign and maintains his speed long enough, he will travel to either past, present, good or bad future of each act. Traveling in time is rather complicated. Most levels are tight and don't have many speed-friendly areas. Luckily, most acts have designated time travel zones. The objective isn't just reaching the sign at the end of each stage, but to make sure each zone has a good future. You can do this by either collecting 50 rings and entering a special ring at the end of each stage to get all the time stones, or, preferably, by finding all the robot teleporters in the past of each act and destroying them. Honestly, collecting the time stones is a pain in the ass. The special stages are not 3D, they are pseudo 3D, and Sonic is incredibly hard to control. You will jump time after time into a UFO, swearing you nailed it, only to find out you jumped either too soon or too late. The best way to get a good ending is by destroying all the teleporters. This way, you not only enjoy the main gimmick, time travel, but you can also explore every level, thoroughly. And this is something good because almost every zone is built around exploration and platforming, no exception. Exploration and platforming are the core of Sonic vinyl record, so it's just best to sit back and relax. Zones in Sonic SD card all have names with the matching initials, giving them a slightly more creative feel. Palm Tree Panic looks like the generic Green Hill Zone, but it's actually more vertical and has some nice gimmicks to show off the Sega CD's power. Instead of being speed focused, it is more platforming focused. All the teleporters are on the top, and traveling through time is only slightly complicated in Act 2. Collision Chaos is where the game really kicks in, and we also meet Metal Sonic. It's this game's equivalent of the Spring Yard Zone. It has all the pinball flippers and bumpers, and also this weird pachinko machine that does nothing. And this cool 3D cylinder that serves no purpose, again, but it is cool and it's hard to reach. All in all, it is a mess of a zone, and you will get stuck in some springs and bumpers. It does make up for it with some really easy time travel areas, and it's really vibrant music. Tidal Tempest is the slowest zone. It's the discount Labyrinth zone with only 10% of the frustration, thankfully. And it also has way more exploration. There isn't anything else to say about this zone. It's not that fun to play in. Most of the time you're just exploring the top route for the teleporter or being mad at the lack of easy to time travel areas. The music is more ambient, which is something the American soundtracks seem to apply to all zones. My god. Quartz Quadrant is a return to form, with more speed and a more horizontal level design. There are multiple paths that you can switch through with ease and large sections for time traveling. But this also makes it the easiest zone by far and the least interesting. The present song is regarded as one of the best Sonic tracks ever, and for really good reasons. Wacky Workbench is at the same time the most unique and the worst zone in all of the franchise. Touching the ground will send you flying all the way up, where it becomes hard to come down. Act 1 has 2 Easter eggs depending on what time you're in, but since the level design is so frustrating, I never bother to find them. Luckily, Act 2 is easier and more fun, with the giant wheel mechanic that makes it easier to time travel. But slightly. The theme for this zone is so catchy that it didn't leave my head for days. It would be a good thing if only that song would bring me memories of a fun ride at the park and not 10 failed attempts at a good future. Stardust Speedway, my god, is the best zone in the game, if not in all of Classic Sonic. Deviating from the platforming and exploration, it is purely speed focused. The soundtrack is the best one yet, and the boss battle is the most fitting. Traveling through time by accident has never been this fun. The first time I played this zone, I got blasted and bumped into the end in 50 seconds. I hardly had time to enjoy it. Now that I've learned its ins and outs, I always get to the good future of each act just to enjoy the best song in all of Sonic and the lack of enemies that always got in your way. The big problem with this zone is a mechanic that switches lanes by random, meaning that you will get stuck in never-ending loops. These are only avoided with the top route, which has no robot teleporters, making this a double-edged sword. Last but not least, Metallic Madness. There isn't much to say about this zone. It's easy but maze-like, it's got the best pass theme, and it's a better final zone than Sonic 1, 2, and 3's final zones. It suffers from all the final zone problems though. Annoying enemy placement, too many Crusher deaths pulled from Eggman's ass, and a layout from a Picasso painting. If the zones aren't weird enough, then the bosses are. All bosses are unique, fairly easy. The pinball boss is a frustrating mess. Tidal Tempests and Wacky Workbenches are just waiting games. The ones that do stand out in quality and expertise are Quartz Quadrants and Stardust Speedways. Why? Because these two are built around Sonic speed, and therefore are more fun to play with. Most classic Sonic bosses should learn from these two. It's a shame that only with Sonic Unleashed and Forwards did the developers actually learn to do boss battles like this. Okay, we've seen the levels, the bosses, the gimmicks, and how awe-inspiring the soundtrack is. But what else is there to talk about? How about the color palette? It's the best one from the classic era, no doubt. How about the peel out? It's my favorite way to gain speed and jump, but it's not that useful. But hey, what about its impressions on me, the player? If you've ever played all classic Sonic titles and seen the reviews so far, you'd expect me to tell you that this is one of the worst ones. But I actually think it's the best. Before you crucify me, consider the following. After playing Mania, I was hungry for more 2D action. Sonic Manuscript was on my side for a long time, and I finally decided to play it. After 88 minutes, I finished it with a bad ending and unlocked Tails. After that, I played it again, and again, and again. Now I always come back to it regularly to get a good ending. My love for this game came to me when I was watching my first good ending outro. All I could think about besides the amazing music was how much I wanted to do it again. A game should make you want to play it more often. So, I set a goal. I would play all the good features in every single act in one playthrough as Sonic and Tails. I'd spend 10 minutes in Stardust Speedway learning the routes. I'd try to find all the bumpers in Collision Chaos or all the secrets in Tidal Tempest. For all of the flaws Sonic Hard Drive has, it did something that only Colors also managed to do. Exploring the levels and just getting myself hypnotized by the soundtrack is more fun than anything else. And that's what games are all about, people. Fun. Sonic CD is pure fun. All in all, Sonic CD is an 8 out of 10. I recommend any Sonic fan to try it out at least once. But don't play it with a mindset of a completionist. Play it like a kid plays with his own imagination. Fondest memory of this game is when I first got my good ending. I still have a screenshot of that ending. I'll leave you with it. It's a message that I think describes the whole game.